endlessly searching for an original sound.
Hello, hello, and welcome to the Indie Files. We are looking at Alice in Wonderland, an adorable little visual novel. Huge thank you to the ones that did send this to me. And let's hop on in and see just what Alice is going to do. Now, I know a lot of you guys do like this story, and you do like visual novels. Now, you can get this game on Steam. Link is in the description. So I highly suggest picking it up. But let's see why. See, please wait until the text is completely displayed before saving the game. Actually, like I said, I quite enjoyed the Alice in Wonderland book when I first read it. Way back when. Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the point? What is the use of a book without pictures or conversations? Thought Alice. So she was considering in her mind, as well as she could, for a hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasures of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies, when suddenly a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. I do love the music. There was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it was very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself, oh dear, I shall be late. I shall be too late. Oh, I can read." When she thought it over afterwards, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered about this. But at the time, it all seemed quite natural. But when the rabbit actually took out a watch out of its own waistcoat pocket and looked at it and then hurried on, Alice started to her feet, for it flashed across her mind that she had never before seen a rabbit with either a waistcoat pocket or a watch to take out of it. And, burning with curiosity, she ran across the field after it, and was just in time to see it pop down a large rabbit hole under the hedge, while her sister sat there going, "Good, I didn't want you around anyway. Now I can read my book in peace." The sister very much was kind of mean. In another moment, down went Alice after it, never once considering how in the world she was to get out again. Poor Alice. Any other game and this would look quite naughty. The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel for some way, and then dipped suddenly, down so suddenly that Alice had not a moment to think about stopping herself before she found herself falling down what seemed to be a very deep well. Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time as she went down to look about her, and to wonder what was going to happen next. First she tried to look down and make out what she was coming to, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the walls and noticed that they were filled with cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there she saw maps and pictures hung upon pegs. She looked down a jar from one of the shelves as she passed it. It was labeled Orange Marmalade, but to her great disappointment, it was empty. She did not like to drop the jar for fear of killing somebody underneath, so managed to put it in one of the cupboards as she fell past it. "Well," thought Alice to herself, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they'll all think of me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of the house. which was pretty likely true. Down, 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 would the fall never come to an end? I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth. Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles down, I think. I think it's more than that. For you see, Alice had learnt several things of this sort in her lessons in the schoolroom, and though this was not a very good opportunity for showing off her knowledge, as there was no one to listen to her, still it was good practice to say it over. Yes, that's about right. Distance. But I wonder what latitude or longitude I've got to. Alice had not the slightest idea what latitude was, or longitude either, but she thought they were nice, grand words to say. Presently she began again. I wonder if I shall fall right through the earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among the people that walk with their heads up downwards. The Antiphits, I think? She was rather glad there was no one listening this time, as it didn't sound at all the right word. But I shall have to ask them what the name of the country is. You know, please, ma'am, is this New Zealand or Australia? And she tried to curtsy as she spoke. Fancy curtsying as you're falling through the air. Do you think you could manage it? And what an ignorant little girl she'll think of me for asking. No, it'll never do to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written somewhere. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice began talking again. Dinah will miss me very much. Well, very much too. Tonight. Oh, tonight. Okay, so there are some words, as you can see, that are very strange. Tonight. I should think Dinah was the cat. I hope they'll remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. There is no mice in the air, I'm afraid. There is no mice in the air, I'm afraid, but you might catch a bat, and that's very much like a mouse, you know. But do cats eat bats? I wonder. And here Alice began to get rather sleepy, and went on saying to herself in a dreamy sort of way, do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? And sometimes, do bats eat cats? Well, you see, as she couldn't answer either question, it didn't much matter which way she put it. It's a very cute little visual novel. We'll go a little longer. She felt that she was dozing off, and had just begun to dream that she was walking hand in hand with Dinah, and was saying to her very earnestly, Now, Dinah, tell me the truth. Did you ever eat a bat? When suddenly, bump, 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 down she came upon a heap of sticks and dry leaves, and the fall was over. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped up onto her feet in a moment. She looked up, but it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and the white rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice, like the wind, and was just in time to hear it say, as it turned the corner, oh my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting. She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was no longer to be seen. She found herself in a long, low hall, which was fit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. I do like her design. There was doors all around the hall, but they were all locked. and when Alice had been all the way down one side and up the other, trying every door, she walked sadly down the middle, wondering how she was ever going to get out again. Suddenly she was caught up in a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass. There was nothing on it but a little golden key, and Alice's first idea was that this might belong to one of the doors of the hall. But alas! Either the locks were too big, or the key was too small. But at any rate, it would not open any of them. However, on the second time round, she came upon a low curtain. It's a little hard to read that. She had not noticed before, and behind it was a little door about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her surprise, and to her great delight, it fitted. It said fitted. Alice opened the door and found that it led to a small passage, not much longer than a rat hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the lowest garden she ever saw. How she longed to get out of that dark hall and wander among these beds of bright flowers and those cool fountains, but she could not even get her head through the door. And even if my head would go through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could if I only knew how to begin. For you see, so many out-of-the-way things happen lately that Alice had begun to think that very few things indeed were really impossible. There seemed to be no use in waiting for by the little door, so she went back to the table, half hoping she might find another key on it, or at any rate a book of rules for shutting people up like telescopes. This time she found a little bottle on it, which certainly was not there before, said Alice. And tied around the neck of the bottle was a paper label with the words, "Drink me," beautifully printed on it in large letters. It was all very well to say, "Drink me," but the wise little Alice was not going to do that in a hurry. "Now, I'll look first," she said, and see whether it's marked poison or not." For she had read several nice little stories about children who got burnt and eaten up by wild beasts and other unpleasant things, all because they would not remember the simple rule their friends had taught them, such as that a red-hot poker will burn you if you hold it too long, and that if you cut your finger very deep with a knife, it usually bleeds. And she had never forgotten that if you drink much from a bottle marked poison, it is almost certain to disagree with you sooner or later. However, this bottle was not marked poison, so Alice ventured to taste it, finding it nice. It had, in fact, a sort of a mixed flavor of cherry tart, custard pineapple, roasted turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast. She very soon finished it off. Shrink. What a curious feeling, Alice said. I must be shutting up like a telescope. Whoa! Tex goes wild. And so it was indeed. She was now only 10 inches high, and her face brightened up at the thought that she was now the right size for going through the little door into the lovely garden. We're going to do a little more of this, guys. But so far, I do enjoy this. If you do want to see more of this and see me do the complete visual novel, please let me know. First, however, she waited for a few minutes to see if she was going to shrink any further. She felt a little nervous about this. For it might end, you know, said Alice to herself. In my going out, although like a candle, I wonder what I should be like then. What? I have the book in the other room. And she tried to fancy what the flame of a candle looks like after the candle is blown out, for she could not remember ever having seen such a thing. After a while, finding that nothing more happened, she decided on going into the garden at once. But alas, poor Alice, when she got to the door, she found she'd forgotten the little golden key, and when she went back to the table for it, she found she could not possibly reach it. Aw, she's gonna cry. She could see it quite plainly through the glass. She tried her best to climb up the legs of the table, but it was too slippery. And when she had tired herself out while trying, the poor little thing sat down and cried. Come, there's no... Oh, wait, wrong one. Oh, wait, yeah. Come, there's no use for crying like that, said Alice to herself, rather sharply. I advise you to leave off this minute. She generally gave herself a very good advice, though she very seldom followed it, and sometimes she scolded herself with so several as to bring tears into her eyes, and once she remembered trying to box her own ears for having cheated herself in a game of croquet she was playing against herself, for this curious child was very fond of pretending to be two people. That is... Oh, no, we're not going to go with that joke. But it's no use now, thought poor Alice, to pretend to be two people. Why, there's hardly enough of me left to make one respectable person. Soon her eyes fell with a little glass box was laying under the table. She opened it and found it in a very small cake, on which the words, "Eat me," were beautifully marked in currants. What is a currant? Well, I'll eat it, said Alice, and if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key, and if it makes me grow smaller, then I can crawl under the door, so either way, I'll get into the garden, and I don't care which happens. She ate a little bit, and said anxiously to herself, which way, holding her hand on the top of her head to feel which way it was growing, and she was quite surprised to find that she remained the same size. To be sure, this is what generally happens when one eats cakes. Oh, but Alice had gotten so much into the way of expecting nothing to be out of the way things to happen, that it seemed quite dull and stupid for life to go on in a common way. Now, guys, I hope you did enjoy this game. If you do want to see more, let me know. This is a fun little read. I'm quite enjoying it. Again, link is in the description for picking this up yourself. If you like visual novels and if you like Alice and this adorable artwork, I would say pick this up for yourself. But what do I know? I get nothing out of this but reading to you guys. So I'll see you next time. Bye!